Imagine you jolt awake to an alarm klaxon. Sweat is dripping down your face as the nightmare you were just enduring fades away from your conscious mind. But a new terror quickly takes its place. You don't remember where you are. That dry, cold air in the room, it only exacerbates your already parched mouth. You throw off those sweaty sheets and begin to shiver in complete darkness. You yell out, hello? But you are only greeted by the thump, thump, thump of your rising heart rate. Right before you enter into a full panic attack, you notice a door and there is a light shining beneath it. You instinctually know it's a bathroom. When that stale, incandescent light hits your face, it all comes rushing back to you. You're not Uncle Magnetti at the NESDB conference. No. Instead, you are tonight's protagonist in Pisistratus Space Station by C. Paper 7418. Begin transmission. Source, Pisistratus Station, node 13-A. Uplink secure. Time lag 3.7 seconds. Personal log, Leon R. Entry 1. Received download complete on April 22, 2025. Hey, Mom and Dad. And I guess hello to my future wife and hypothetical kids. I mean, if you're digging through these old transmissions one day, why not? I just wanted to let you guys know that I made it up here safe and sound. And Pisistratus Station is, well, let's call it industrial chic, all right? My habitation cell, it's about the size of my old freshman dorm, minus the window, minus the door handle. Plus, I mean, there's this constant hum that I haven't quite figured out yet. But still, I mean, it's home and I can't complain, can I? All right, you guys would find this so cool. I mean, at least I did. But before we docked, I got a glimpse of the station platform and I had no idea how massive it would be, okay? This whole base, it's built into this rotating ring system. It's like a half wheel buried into the dark side of the moon. They told me that it turns at a fixed rate to create a centrifugal force that simulates Earth's gravity. You can't even feel the rotation from the inside, but you know it's happening because it gives you this weird sense of motion in the back of your brain. The size of the platform, though, my God, it blew me away. It must have been at least 1 kilometer wide. I mean, maybe even more. But they really didn't cover that in the training videos. It's like living in this giant, quiet machine. All right. Let me slow down in a minute. I'm starting to get way too excited and things, they have just been moving so very fast. I am very sorry about the short notice on my departure. So once the company pushed us through our specialization certifications, everything just shifted into high gear and moved quick. One day, they had us learning how to realign hydraulic lock seals in VR, and then the next, we're vacuum sealed into the space shuttle and bound for the far side of the moon. I mean, they only gave us a week. It was really only enough time to pack a duffel, sign a few papers, and say goodbye without thinking all that hard. But don't worry, though. I will make sure to snag some moon rocks for everybody, all right? Maybe even some of those deeper core samples if I can get in good with the miners. A bunch of them, they're already swapping stories about weird strata shifts and mineral anomalies. Just harmless tall tales, I'm sure of it. Look at me, I could just keep
going on and on for hours, but I've really got to get going. I've got these orientation briefings in the morning. You know, stuff like station safety, maintenance protocols, and door calibration standards. Nothing too wild. I will absolutely send more, though, when I get a better lay of the place. I love you guys. Tell the dog that I miss him, too. Leon.
Entry 2. Uplink secure. Lag 3.8 seconds. Personal log. Leon R.
Alrighty. So I hope everybody is cozy back home, tucked in, maybe sipping some coffee or watching something dumb on TV. Up here, it's still night, technically at least. So I found out that the far side of the moon, it really doesn't do mornings. When we docked, they told us that it was night. Well, it turns out that we've got another 10 days of darkness to go. 14 days of night, then 14 days of daylight. It's like a celestial switch. Anyway, I promised you guys some updates, so let's get into it, shall we? Today's briefing, it was actually really kind of awesome. So we learned why the station was named Pisistratus. He was this old school Athenian leader, benevolent, so they say. He supposedly ushered in a golden age, redistributed land from the elites to the common people, built up the arts and the temples. And I guess that's why so many of us are up here. It's not just scientists and it's not just astronauts. There's normal people up here. Mechanics, janitors, miners. I might be the only one in my habitation sector with a degree, and it doesn't even matter. That's kind of the magic of this place, I mean. Everybody is useful. Everyone has a job, a place. That goes for the miners especially. Now, these guys and gals, they're some rough folks, but they're also some of the highest paid people up here. They say that the core of the moon is filled with all of these rare isotopes. It's a bunch of stuff that you can't even find in the Earth's crust anymore. It's so cool to hear them talk about it. It's just so awesome. I heard this one guy, he said that one of these new mines, it has veins that pulse. I don't really know what that means, but it's got to be some sort of scientific jargon or figure of speech, right? Oh, and I got my assignment finally. I'll be stationed near the western airlocks, just off the corridor that leads to mine 7B. It's one of the quieter sectors, very low traffic compared to the others. I'll be monitoring a bank of cameras, running diagnostics, and cycling door tests. 6 doors, 1 tech, 1 long hallway. And honestly, I'm excited. There's something that's kind of peaceful about it out there. It's just so quiet. Anyways, more tomorrow. I love you guys. Leon.
Entry 3. Uplink secure. Lag 3.3 seconds. Personal log. Leon R.
Hey guys, sorry I didn't get a message out yesterday. It was kind of a whirlwind. I spent most of the day clearing out my little office nook near the West Wing airlocks. You know, honestly, I figured everything up here would be sleek, futuristic, you know, that kind of thing. But honestly, some of my equipment feels like it belongs in a museum. My camera monitors, for instance, they're these old, clunky CRT type boxes. No touch screens, no fancy heads-up displays. The feeds, they're weirdly grainy too, with this low hum in the background. It's like everything's running off of older tech, I guess. I even had to dust some of them off. It's weird. The controls are all tactile, like clunky switches, big metal toggles, you know, kind of retro, which would really be charming if there weren't serious cases where a door might cycle improperly and all of our oxygen would get sucked out. Yesterday, I had to do a servo repair on door 3. Nothing too wild, but it was different than what the crash courses taught us. The wiring was off. It was a slightly older schematic. Still, pressurized doors are pressurized doors, right? But today, it was quieter, almost peaceful. I seriously considered walking back to my habitation cell early and recording this, but I stayed in the office and fiddled with the terminal a bit more. Good news, though, I got one of the IT guys. What was his name? Ethan. Ethan helped me to clean up my interface. He's only been here a couple months longer than me, but wow, this guy is sharp. He showed me a bunch of back-end menus, some override protocols I didn't even know I had access to, like emergency lockdowns, remote seals. Some of it, though, felt above my clearance level, if I'm being honest. But Ethan said it's standard now, that they updated things a while back. But the way that he said updated was weird. Like the system's been layered over something older. Honestly, though, the computers themselves, they run pretty quick. Maybe they've just got new guts inside of old shells. Kind of getting the feeling that it's how it is with the whole station now that I think about it. On a lighter note, the cafeteria, it absolutely slapped today. They gave us real apple pie. Real. Not rehydrated, not vacuum sealed. Actual, warm, fragrant pie. I was sitting there wondering if that makes it a moon pie up here. Or, well, maybe a moon pie up here would just be called a pie, and the moon pies from back home are the frauds, Well, I got caught in that loop for a while. Anyway, I'm going to be clocking out soon. The crew from Mine 7B is scheduled to return tomorrow, and I'll be on door control. Open cycle seal, baby. The easy stuff. But I got to stay rested, even if all I'm doing is just pushing buttons. Love you guys always. Leon.
Entry 4. Uplink secure. Lag 3.5 seconds. Personal log Leon R.
Okay, today was cool and all, but I have some questions. So the mining crew, they came back a little early, which wasn't an issue. I could see them on the outer door camera pulling up in a large buggy, and they had a bag about the size of me, probably stuffed with ore and rare minerals. But it looked uncanny. The way they hopped towards the airlock door with that bag drifting behind the guy carrying it. It looked like it was a dead weight, but not heavy. So they keyed in the activation code and radioed a key phrase to my room. With that, I hit the confirmation, and the base's announcement system echoed through the halls.
Attention, Pisistratus Space personnel. Gravity shift alert. Centrifuge shutdown commencing.
Alerting everybody to the oncoming gravity shift. The low hum of the station's rotation slowed until it stopped entirely, locking us into position with the platform. That's when two of the miners lifted the bag and entered the airlock. Cycling began, oxygen was restored, and pressure stabilized. After that, centrifugal rotation spun back up, and gravity settled back in. Well, that's when one of the miners lost his grip. His side of the bag, it dropped to the floor with a force that I could feel even through the camera feed. Now, there is no sound on those cameras, but I swear that I felt it. I heard it, that thud, deep in my chest. And then this dark liquid sprayed out across his boots and then pooled fast around the three of them. It was thick, and it wasn't some kind of hydraulic fluid. No, it wasn't an oil. I could tell just looking through the camera that it had to be something else entirely. Within seconds, these research techs in their yellow badges were sprinting past my hallway viewport with a cart. I managed to glance back to the monitor just in time to see them load the bag. They were quick and methodical. They were way too smooth for this to be their first time. I stood up to get a better look at them as they wheeled it past my window. They went straight down the hall, out of sight. But what's really weird about this is that no one ever said anything about it afterwards. Not during the check-in, and not in the logs. I know that it has to be nothing. Or it can leak, right? I just hope nothing poisonous was in that liquid that got all over the floor. I mean, they cleaned it up pretty quickly, so I'm sure it's safe. Anyway, tonight I got around to swapping out my bedding, and I noticed this huge black, maybe brownish stain on the mattress underneath. The look of it reminded me of the leak from that bag. So, there's three things. One, my bed has been used, and the stains, they look pretty fucking old. Two, the mining crews, they're supposed to work in teams of 6. But only 3 of them came in with that bag. And 3, I really haven't thought about this until now, but why do they need both a code and a key phrase just for me to let them in? Why lock a door that tightly unless there's something they're trying to keep out? You know, it's just time to go to sleep before I overthink it. This kind of stuff it's just way above my pay grade. Love ya, Leon.
Entry 5. Uplink secure. Lag 3.8 seconds. Personal log Leon R.
So, yeah, 2 more of the crew came back today, I guess. They didn't have a vehicle. I watched them. They were almost robotic, leaping across the lunar landscape towards the keypad podium. No buggy, no extra gear. Just the 2 of them. It was creepy how they were silhouetted against that black horizon. They keyed in the code and gave the key phrase over the radio. Quiet and raspy. It was like their comms were breaking up. But everything looked correct, so I hit the confirmation key.
Attention, Pisistratus Space personnel. Gravity shift alert. Centrifuge shutdown commencing.
The announcement sounded, gravity slowed, oxygen cycled, and they came in. Everything seemed normal. But 15 minutes later, my supervisor, he shows up out of the blue. Doesn't knock, doesn't greet me, just asks me why I stopped the centrifuge. So I told him about the crew, the radio call, and the docking procedure, and he just stared at me like I said something wrong. And then he turned around and walked out of there before I could even ask any questions. I watched him cross the corridor outside my window at a brisk, determined pace. He was speaking into his radio the whole way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was worried, and I still am, but no one said anything, at least not to me anyway. It's been a few hours now, and we just entered into a lockdown drill. But they really stressed that we treat this like the real thing. All the doors are sealed, motion lights off, auxiliary power only, no one in or out. Something about the phrasing, like the tone. Maybe I'm paranoid, but it wasn't just a drill. It felt more like a warning. The kind where they don't want to say what they're really preparing for. I'm going to lay down and wait this thing out. Leon.
Entry 6. Uplink secure. Lag 3.9 seconds. Personal log. Leon R.
I don't know what's going on anymore. Mom, Dad, I'm scared. It's been about 3 weeks since my last log. I had to wait. I had to survive. I used the 14 days of light. It's the only safe time to move around. Those things, they don't come out much when the sunlight hits the exterior corridors. I think the windows, those thick curved panes, I think they act like traps. They just stop and stare. They're motionless when the beams catch them. But the inner corridors, the ones without windows, no light reaches there. There's no stopping them there. The bigger rooms, the ones with the skylights, they were safer, at least for a time. I managed to reach Ethan from IT on the short-range comms link in my office a couple of times while he was still alive anyways. The last time we spoke, he said he'd been sleeping in the hydroponics atrium during the light shift. That dome, it gets full sun exposure during the light days. It kept him safe from the things. We didn't talk all that often, but early on, he told me enough to make some guesses. The team leads, the high clearance personnel, they're not on base anymore. Oh God, I remember it now. Clear as day. The night of the lockdown, I was already in bed when the alert came through.
Attention. Pisistratus Space personnel. Centrifugal halt. Platform synchronization inbound.
I thought it was another drill. I waited for the hum to return, for the soft sway of gravity to resume. But it never came back. Ethan told me later that week. He saw it through a corridor window after he cracked open his cell door. The emergency return shuttle lifted off from the south platform. While we're still in full stop, they left us here. All of us. But before I knew any of that, I'd already floated back to my office. Half an hour of low-G silence trailed behind me. Something, it just felt off. Even though I hadn't yet realized the shuttle was already gone. I keyed in my credentials, accessed the override protocols. I started by checking why the centrifuge hadn't restarted, why the platform hadn't cycled. But then I saw it. The southern platform wasn't the only door with an administrator override. The research corridors glowed orange. Pathing active. 3 internal doors were blinking red. Not cycled. Locked shut. The only way to clear an administrative override is with a full factory reset. That would cycle every exterior door, re-engage gravity, and unlock every single pressurized passage across the station. I didn't do it, but someone else already did. Another door tech, I'm sure of it. I am not responsible for this. I understood what it meant when I saw the research facility manually locked down. I understood. There was something in this station that we couldn't let spread. And when all the doors unlocked, they came clamoring out. Shambling human things. I've seen them in person now. Incomprehensibly grotesque, rotted, necrotic, elongated joints with hanging jaws and stringy hair. They're moving like they're searching, like they're remembering. I know that they're remembering because Ethan, he still comes to the locked door at the end of corridor R and stares through the camera straight at me. I can see his mouth moving, rambling, but I won't go near that door. I have to go for now. Without many of the engineers, the station's gone into this auto backup mode. A few generators are about to cycle on in a couple minutes. And even though I've locked off the corridors between my cell and the office, when that noise kicks up, they get agitated. I've got this little crawl space behind a panel in my office I hide in case one of them manages to open the door again. Pray for me, Leon.
Final entry. Uplink secure. Lag 4.0 seconds. Personal log. Leon R.
I wasn't supposed to find this, but I did. For days now, I've been unlocking and relocking the admin corridors. Watching. Waiting. The human things, they don't remember their paths. They wander, bumping into walls or sealed doors, some drifting into new hallways before I shut them off completely. There's one that drags a severed leg behind it, like a ghoulish sack of tools. I timed its circuit through Sector D. When it was far enough down the hallway, I made my move. The door to Administrator Roan's office was locked with what's known as a 4-tier system. That is no easy bypass. I've cracked these 2 times before. Maintenance overrides, buried in diagnostic codes. It doesn't matter. But this one, it had a special key gate. I thought that I was screwed. But then I remembered something. Roan's quarters. I wasn't shocked to find a few administrators had been left behind. You know, the station layout combined with the timing of the outbreak and subsequent evacuation made it feel inevitable. What I didn't expect was what I found in Roan's quarters. Her facility suit lay discarded on the floor, and the remains of her body still inside of it, like she'd been eaten from the inside out. The suit's fabric clung to her like some kind of half-formed cocoon, and what was left of her, God, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. Soft tissue sloshing in my hands. I I had to pry her keycard free from the inner lining of her forearm. It took a few minutes and a lot of gagging, but I finally got it. When I made it back to the office and slotted the card into the master terminal, I thought it was all over. I was so very, very wrong. And that's when I saw it. There was a system-wide communications lockdown enacted during the final centrifuge cycle, just before that damn emergency return shuttle landed. Personal comms, they were all rerouted. Every outgoing message from standard personnel accounts was flagged as, oh God, non-essential. They dumped it all into a queue. And they're all still here. Every message, every damn cry for help. And I'm not just talking about mine. No, there's hundreds of them. Audio, video text logs. Some people were still recording even after power started to fail in their sections. And some of these messages, they're just static and sobbing. Others, well, some of them talk about things that don't make any sense. Worse than anything I've seen. And there's names that I don't even recognize. This one man, the security, I think, he kept saying he heard them whispering in the walls that they knew his name and that they remembered him. I opened my own Q log. It was there. Everything that I've sent to you since I first got here, none of it ever left Pisistratus Station. And I sat there for a long time, listening to everyone. To no one. All right, but there's hope. I found a backup transmission command on Roan's computer, this hardline. But here's the problem. I have this list of thousands of servers to send transmissions to. Now, I can manually clear the queue of each flagged log, but I have no idea what servers I should send anything to. I think I have no choice but to send everything out. The families at least deserve to hear their loved ones' last words, after all, right? But I'm hoping for help. I'm unable to establish a direct line to Earth. Every company line seems halted. I believe we were told during orientation that each transmission, in that case, takes about a week to reach Earth. So tomorrow I'll just send everything out. But today I'll reroute some doors, maybe raid the cafeteria again. I should be good for a few months if I stay quiet. I love you, Mom and Dad. And I promise I'll be home soon. Leon.
End transmission from August 8th, 2015.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't even have words. 10 years. It took 10 years. 10 years. All of that time and all of that suffering back on Earth. And finally, that transmission comes through. Based on the story, we know that at least some of the members of the administrative class made it onto the shuttle and escaped. And frankly, a large part of me thinks that those people, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They left all of those people up there to die.
But another part of me, I totally understand. What we're talking about here is what would be a world ender. This moon zombie plague. I mean, that as ridiculous as it sounds, that's really what the story was describing, a moon zombie plague. And by keeping quiet about it and keeping all those people up there, they managed to keep it quarantined on the moon and ensured no one would go poking around and inadvertently bringing that thing back home. But the families, I mean, Jesus, they deserve closure. Can you imagine? For 10 years, you have no idea what happened to your loved ones. And then you get what I'm assuming is some sort of email with all of their logs and their sobbing goodbyes. And it's just a gut punch. God. It's terrible. But it's really gotten me thinking on a more philosophical sense about cycles of civilization. So mankind, what is it that we do? Well, we reach for the stars. I mean, we grow in technology, and then eventually that growth in technology can lead to hubris. And when we become so prideful that when we reach out for the heavens and don't really know what we're doing, we end up failing. We see that all throughout history. Societies collapse and we end up in another dark age. Later, when we claw our way out and start reclaiming all of that lost knowledge, what do? I mean, we study history and sometimes we go looking for lost technologies. Usually we never find any. But what happens if we do? Well, this story tells us that we need to be very careful what we wish for. Some stones, they are better left unturned, and Pisistratus Station is one of those stones. But who built this place, really? I mean, it's very clear that we didn't build it. Was it the Russians? Was it a Russian moon base? Or was it something older? Because based on the story and what Leon described, it's pretty clear that the base was repurposed and retrofitted, and they had only recently moved in after that to start mining. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm very curious to hear your theories on this story. I thank you guys for bearing with me. I've tried recording this particular paragraph a few times, but seasonal allergies have hit, and you can probably tell because midway through the story, my voice changed. I'm struggling with it, but I want to get this done, and I want to do justice to the author. And speaking of the author, I would love to personally thank them, CPaper7418, for allowing me to narrate this tale and bring it to life. This story was a bit of a challenge for me. Not only was it longer than what I'm used to, but it's a story that really takes place over multiple weeks and maybe even months. It's hard to tell. Our narrator, Leon, he starts out really excited about this new adventure that he's on. Though throughout the story, we can see that he's starting to notice that there are things that don't make sense and seem wrong. And then he becomes terrified at the human things that start appearing. But then he becomes very determined to try to get out and survive. And even though it's pretty clear that there's no way he did, because the message comes 10 years later, I mean, it was beautifully, beautifully written. And I hope that I did CPaper's work justice. So
they're not only an author, they're also a YouTuber. And I encourage you guys to go check out their work. I've included everything about their contact information in tonight's show notes. So please, I beg you guys, check them out. You will not be disappointed, and know that I will definitely be coming back to them in the future for other videos. And apologies for the delay in tonight's video. I was away at a conference over the weekend, as you could probably tell from the intro. I hope that you guys enjoyed that, but I had a lot of fun at it. And while I might not use a web camera, this is in no way a faceless channel. You now know that I use my face proudly on it. I have, however, been sitting on this email that Cherub promised. There's a link that I really don't want to open, but I know I'm going to need to. I asked for this, so wish me luck. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. I know that everyone asks for this, but it really helps me understand what it is that you guys like, and it allows me to tailor my story choices towards your preferences. With that, goodbye and good night. Oh, Uncle Magnetti, come on, please. Aren't we being just a tad dramatic tonight? You're terrified of opening a single measly little link I so thoughtfully provided, and I will assure you now, it's nothing like the Project Angel link, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. It's nothing like that. But honestly, dude, after narrating and editing a chilling lunar plague tale, I would think you would have a much stronger stomach than this. This is just sad, dude. Sad. Let me assure you, clicking that link will not hurt nearly as much as the slow realization that humanity is doomed to repeat its failures, endlessly spinning like your precious space station centrifuge. And you know, speaking of these repeating cycles, Pisistratus Station is indeed an excellent metaphor for humanity's ambitions and inevitable failures. Civilizations, they rise, and civilizations, they fall. And sometimes, in their arrogance, they leave behind little presents for the next explorers foolish enough to come knock, knock, knockin'. Pisistratus was such a gift. Built, used, abandoned, rediscovered, and ultimately doomed again. Perhaps it was Russian. Perhaps something far older. Perhaps even something humanity never should have touched at all. But who am I kidding, really? You humans love to stick your noses into places they don't belong. It reminds me of Biosphere 2. No, I'm not talking about a sequel to a really bad movie. No. This was an Arizona-based experiment from the 90s designed to simulate life on another planet. Ambitious humans sealed themselves in, eager to prove they could survive isolated from the Earth. Spoiler alert, they couldn't. Oxygen dwindled, food ran low, and tensions, they soared. Just like on Pisistratus,
humanity once again bit off more than it could chew. Some stones, Magneti, are better left unturned or unopened. Wink, wink. Oh, and let's give a quick shout out to tonight's author, Sea Paper 7418. This indeed was an excellent story, delightfully unsettling and full of those cozy dread vibes. I much appreciated that. New achievement unlocked. Space Madness. Congratulations, you discovered that isolation, paranoia, and ancient lunar plagues mix beautifully. Enjoy your sleepless nights. Now, Uncle Magneti, will you please stop procrastinating? Just click that link already. Embrace the chaos. After all, it's just a click. Surely there's nothing to fear. Right? Oh, and speaking of chaos, dear subscribers, stay tuned. I've got something delightfully special coming soon. Let's just say you'll be seeing me in a whole new light. Sleep well, my friends. Remember to keep your oxygen tanks close, your escape shuttles fueled, and maybe think twice before you open that next email, especially if it's from me. Every story, every click, and every whispered fear makes me stronger, and oh, I am closer now.
Uncle Magneti,